Hi, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet. I am starting our CBO technical assistance call. It is 3 o'clock on my computer screen, so we're going to get rolling. We want to get everybody to check in. The one thing that we're going to talk about every week is the file in the file download pod is the CBO contact list. So if you have an opportunity, please download it, check it, and send any corrections that you might have to epic@illinoisworknet.com. So I think Olivia might be typing that in there right now. So let's turn the screen over, or bring the screen over for Natasha so that she can show you about our first item on our agenda, which is worksite placement. So if you're talking, Natasha, you need to talk.
Okay. We shall go back to the speaker going. All right. So what we have here is you are going to, I'm logged in as a super user, so mine says resources, but yours will say agency. So you go to your agency. We'll have several different ways to do work sites, but this is how we are going to be starting out with this worksite placement. And this is on test right now, and so we'll be doing some more testing. We've been working on it and doing more testing and making updates. I know there's a few more updates since they released it this morning that they need to put out there. So I'd like to have it out there by Friday, if not on Tuesday. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go to your agency information. So you'll see your tabs like you normally do, your training program schedule, payroll, that was previously there. And the new one will be worksite placement. And whenever you go to your agency, of course, when you first come here, you're not going to have anything. You'll add an employer. And you can either add a new employer or an existing employer. If you add an existing employer, you can select from a list. Now, let me go back here. The way the employers will work, you'll be able to, there'll be a growing list of employers. So even if I'm at a different CBO, you might have the same employer. And you may or may not have the same work site. So the first step is to select an employer. Again, that list is going to be growing. So if you didn't add one of these employers, then that's okay. Don't worry about it, because this is an ever-growing list of employers that you can select from.
So Natasha, would you suggest that they check the existing list?
Yes. Yes. Most definitely. So if you have an existing work site, you can select existing work site. You'll see that this one doesn't have a work site for this agency. So I'm going to have to create a new work site. So I'll put, and we'll just put a phone number in here real quick. And an address. And
60636.
And so for whether you're adding an employer or a work site, each of them will have a primary contact. And then you just go to the next step. Did I hit it? Am I missing something? Okay, so it went ahead and added my worksite. So then the next thing that I have to do is add the actual type of job. So we're going to start out with a listing of SOC codes that you could choose from. So as you start to type in the words for the SOC code, you're going to see a listing of occupations. So you can select whichever one you want. And if there's more than one SOC code listed, you can select the most appropriate one and select it. So, you know, we are fully aware that existing employer job titles and jobs may not match up perfectly with a SOC code, but right now that's the way we have to put them together, you know. And so right now you'll go ahead and if the employer's job title is different, then you can go ahead and update that. So what is it?
Yeah. Natasha, Mary Beth in the chat pod is asking, is this for permanent placements or work experience or both?
Both. You can see you have work-based learning, job shadowing, work experience, internship, on-the-job training, and permanent employment. So one of the things that we're doing with this is this will be a tool that will be incorporated into Global WorkNet, all of Illinois WorkNet, so that you'll be able to use it, you know, outside of EPIC if you like. And so that's why we have these other areas. I know that you can do like job shadowing and work-based learning, but our primary focus for the EPIC program is really like work experience and, you know, the permanent employment. So, but I know you still, you know, can have job shadowing, those sort of things that are also available. So you can type in a description.
And if there's a job description, they could actually just copy it from whatever they get from the employer, correct?
Exactly. And so you can put in an hourly rate and the number of openings. And I'm going to have Cody make an adjustment to this so that we can identify if this one, you know, if it's full-time or part-time openings, you know, what type of job this has. We have a start and end display date because what this is going to eventually lead into is more of a job posting tool. So you can see that. Go ahead and if you have your start and end date, go ahead and I would put them in there for, you know, as long as you think that they're going to be working in these jobs. So I mean, it really could be for the entire life of the program. That's fine. Just know that eventually this is going to be used to populate job postings, but we have some other fields that would be entered. So it's not a big deal at this moment, but go ahead and you can put those in there. They're not going to disappear. The job posting or placement isn't going to disappear based on these dates. Okay, so you can see that once I enter my employer, once I enter my work site, once I enter my job and my number of openings, then it's going to continue to populate this list. So from this list, I can go ahead and add a customer.
Natasha, before you start in on that, Eric is asking if they're going to be a work site, do they do a work site agreement and enter their own position in this place?
I would assume yes.
I would think so too, but
yes. Yep. Okay, good question. Okay, because this is one of the things that this is going to lead into is payroll. And we'll cover that in just a minute, or talk about that at least in just a moment. So, so you have your listing of information. So you can look at, and each of these links is editable. So if I click on employer, I can see all the information for this particular employer, and I can add additional contacts. If I go to the worksite, I can see the worksite information, I can update it, and I can add more contacts.
So that's a nice feature if there's an overall supervisor versus a worksite supervisor.
Yes. And then for the job posting, again, you can go ahead and update that information. So maybe 3 more openings came in. You can just update that. And then if you want to add a customer, you just click Add Customer. And you have first name, last name, WorkNet ID, last 4 of your SSN, of their SSN, I should say, and the date of birth, and you can add that person. And then you can update their information, just to, so that we make sure everything is correct for that particular person. So their hourly wage, let's say that they are getting paid more than what was originally entered, you can do that. You can see if it's, you can put them in as full-time or part-time. You can identify whether they have started or they're still currently into doing this particular job, or they have successfully completed it. And the reason why we have this status here, for one thing, is that eventually this will be used to populate the ISTEP. And so with the ISTEP, you have start and end dates and the status open, complete, not started. And then one of the other things that we'll be able to do through the ISTEP is to be able to add if they've earned a credential as part of their work experience. And so that's the direction that we're moving towards. So you could have it as open. Let's say they started today, and they'll be ending in September. And then I can add their information. So that customer was added to that list. So now, if I want to look at any of my part-time, or the full-time positions that are filled or part-time, you can see I added that person. You can see there's a 1 there. So I click on the link, and I can see their information. I can edit it as needed. So for some of these, I'm going to have the programmers, kind of adjust some of the information that's on here, but this is what we have so far. And the next thing that they're working on is the payroll upload. So you can go ahead, we don't have it released yet, but as soon as we release it, we'll send out a message to everybody. We'll also send out written instructions that you can use to start entering your employers in your work site. And then we will, and then you can start entering that information. And then I'm hoping that next week, Wednesday, I can show you the payroll piece. And so then you can start, using the payroll piece to export the list and upload information. And that's the plan for next week.
Yay! All right. Do we have any other questions for the worksite information that we need to enter from anybody? I don't see anybody typing. How about if we just minimize the screen for right now, and then we can talk about the next pieces if we need to. Olivia, do you want to start sharing your screen? I'll talk about calendar dates. Oh my gosh, can you believe today is August 31st already? So what I need for everybody to do is to have their dates entered for intake appointments through the end of the year, hopefully before Labor Day weekend, because we need to make sure that we have intake appointments. All of the DHS offices are going live on Tuesday, so I want to make sure that they have appointments available for everybody to schedule, and we will be sending out a reminder about that on right after the webinar. Judith Bell says, yay. Yes, it has been a very busy month for me, and everybody trying to get everybody trained, but I'm sure it's quieted down for all of you in Chicago with the referrals coming in. So hopefully we're back on track and you're swamped within the next 2 months totally. All right, Olivia, let's pull your screen over, and we will talk about Dashboard.
Hey everybody, so today we're going to go over the Enrolled Dashboard and the ISTEP Dashboard just like last week. A lot of you have done good work in going in and cleaning up everything, but we still have a couple areas that have some customers kind of just sitting in there lagging behind. First we're going to go over the Enrolled Dashboard. So you're seeing all the numbers for all the regions. When you pull your Enrolled Dashboard up, it will only show you the number for the customers in your region. So you're going to want to go in and look, and the goal is to get everybody to the green. There will be a couple that are in red, but our main goal is to get as many people to the green as we can. A few of the areas to really keep an eye on are the 2151 past due area right here. This is just saying that, the customer has been in for their initial appointment, and the 2150.
Can you enlarge your screen? Can you magnify your screen?
Yeah. That good?
One there. That's good.
Okay. So the 2151 past due is just saying the customer came in for their initial appointment and a 2151 form has yet to be uploaded for them. So we need to get those uploaded as soon as possible. They might need to be coming back in for another appointment, but you have probably got the assessment portion done or at least met with them. So that needs to be uploaded to reflect that. The second area we need to keep an eye on is the referral accepted, enrollment started, enrollment required. This is just saying the 2151 form has been uploaded, but their enrollment status has not been changed to enrolled. I will pull it up here on test so you all can see it. Zoom in on it a little bit too. So the training program enrollment, if the customer is in that section of the dashboard, it just means that they have not, their showing is not enrolled, and we just need to go in and mark them as enrolled and select update, and then they will move to the green portion of the dashboard as long as everything else has been completed. And the third area we need to keep an eye on is the CBO needs to upload past due. This is referring to the 2151A. It is supposed to be uploaded between the 1st and 5th of each month. And it is the 31st, so I'm sure tomorrow these numbers are going to be a lot bigger than if you were to look at them today. But 16 of them still have not uploaded a 2151A for this month, and today is the last. It's supposed to be done between the 1st and the 5th, but today is the last day of the month. So we really need to make sure we're uploading these every month for all the customers. And then the last section of the dashboard to keep an eye on is the completion status. In the completion status area, exited status, completion documentation needs uploaded. This just means the customer has been exited, but the final documentation has not been uploaded. I'm going to pull test back over again. And so when you go in and if you mark a customer as unsuccessful and, or let's do as successful and hired by an employer, and this happened today, and once you click update, then when you go back into that, there's going to be red text in that area right there saying what you need to get uploaded for those customers. So you'll still have to add the customer information and then upload the 2151 form with the appropriate fields marked. So if you have customers in there, you might have exited them, but they're not completely finished yet. And that is all for the enrollment dashboard. And so for
before you move out of there, Olivia, Eric asked a question about being able to upload a 2151 that was digitally signed. can you go to the progress page for me in test? You're in test. So go to the progress page, scroll up a little bit on that page, and where you would upload the 2151. So on here, what you're doing is where it says upload scanned 2151 as needed, if you want to point to that, Olivia, the white box right there. So if you have a signed form so that they're releasing medical documents to you, that's where it gets uploaded. But you have to download or upload, you have to download the 2151 to check the boxes and then upload that version so that it will let you enroll the customer. So Eric, that's the answer to your first question. You can upload two of them. You can upload the signed one, but you do need to download the 2151 and manipulate it in Adobe Reader by checking the boxes and entering the dates, and then you upload that one. Once you upload that one, that will allow you to, when you scroll down to the enrolled section, Olivia, that will allow you to check the box for enrolled. And then the second question that you asked, Eric, is, and there should be no, to answer Mike's question, there should be no delay in the data for the 2151A. It might be like 10 or 15 minutes, but not any major delay of any kind. But on the 2151A, you do need to upload a 2151A for each brand new customer for what they are anticipating doing between the day that you intake them and the end of the month. Then on the 1st through the 5th of the month, you upload what they actually did in the past. So there's only one 2151A that's required immediately, and that's the very first month. Otherwise, it's always the 1st through the 5th, you upload what happened the previous month. So does that answer both of your questions? It's still listing past due. All right.
I think you have to have an activity marked for it to.
Yes. And does it have hours and a date? So scroll up on that form just a little bit, Olivia. So you marked a box. You marked a box where it says activity. You entered a time or a start date, and you entered how many hours on there. All right. So send us an email to epic@illinoisworknet.com with the other participant ID. And we'll look at that after the webinar today to make sure that something's not going on screwy bananas. Okie doke. All right. And Mike, did that answer your question? So you've got something going on too. So if there's an issue, send us the IDs, the other participant ID of the customers, and we'll look into that. Maybe it's a glitch when we were making some updates that something happened, but I don't think we've been working on anything in that area in the past couple of weeks. So, all right, Olivia, do you want to move on to the ISTEP dashboard now?
Yeah. So for the ISTEP dashboard, last week we went over selecting the target occupations not selected for the customers in the career planning section right here. We only had like maybe 19 that had selected some last week, and we now have 50, which is really good. Thank you guys for getting those done, but we still have 178 that have not been selected. So if we can try again this week and just try to go in and select that target occupation for your customers. You can find that information in their application. They included that when they were filling everything out. So just go in there and check, and then go ahead and select that target occupation to make sure that we can get that customer working towards the correct occupation that they're wanting to go into. And hopefully next week we'll have more that have it selected than not. That is the goal. And then the other thing with the ISTEP dashboard is the ISTEP dashboard is supposed to reflect your 2151A forms. So when you're assigning activities to customers, you need to be updating those activities in the ISTEP. As you assign the customers the activity, you should be populating them in the ISTEP. You may not be filling out the 2151A until the next month because you're filling it out for the previous month. But as soon as you're assigning those steps, or even before you assign those steps, we need to make sure that we're going into the ISTEP dashboard and adding those steps in the appropriate sections. It's the best way that you can track your customers' activities. You can easily plan ahead and create an individual step-by-step plan for your customer by going in and looking at the different steps in each section and adding the ones that would best help your customer get through any barriers they might have and find employment. You can go in and you can put a start and end date, so you can plan ahead. You can put the start date as next month, or you can start it right away. It doesn't matter, but it can kind of help you kind of determine the plan for that customer in advance instead of trying to figure it out maybe when they walk in the door or something like that. You can kind of know we're going to start here, and then next month we want to go here, and then we want to finish here in this many months. So try to be using the ISTEP as much as you possibly can. We really need to make sure that it's updated with all the customer steps. And the 2151A form is a broad form, and the ISTEP is more specific. So what I mean when I say that is if you go under the 2151A and say you're working with job readiness for your customers, you want them to be getting their resume ready. So you go in and you select job readiness, but that could mean so many different things. So you want to go into your ISTEP, and let me pull it up in test. You want to go into the ISTEP, and you will go into the career planning section for that customer, and then you will add an additional step. And so if they are working on their resume, getting it put together and prepared, you're going to select that step, which has already been selected for this test customer, and then select Add. And then once you've added that step, you can go in and you can edit all the information. Like I said, put the start and end date, the completion date, the due date, and any notes that you may need. It can really help you stay on top of everything. And then if an item becomes past due, you're going to get a notification that it's past due. So you will be able to better track that and help the customer stay on top of all their steps. That is all I have for the ISTEP dashboard, but I see that we have another question.
Yeah, we have another question, and it's about all of the personal development steps seem to be referral or supportive services based. With both of my clients, these do not require or have utilized these services, therefore there are no steps to check. Would there be personal development steps we can add that aren't based on a referral or receipt of supportive services, i.e. community service? Eric, we haven't really thought about that yet, but we can always add additional steps. We can also add, I think, no steps required at this time so that it doesn't look like you're missing any steps. So that's something that Olivia and I can talk about with Natasha to get that implemented pretty quickly. Does that help you with that?
Anytime that you come across a step that's maybe not in the ISTEP dashboard or something like that, feel free to email epic@illinoisworknet.com, again, with your idea or a step that you may like added. And we can always go in and talk with Natasha and Dee and everybody and get that step added if we need to as well.
All right. All right, so I'll make a note of this, Eric, and then could you show Jonathan where they go to identify the target occupation because he wasn't on the call last week?
I sure can.
He could always just go back and watch the recording, but we'll do you this favor this time, Jonathan.
So for the target occupation, you're going to go into the career planning tab of the ISTEP, and then you're going to go to the review information goals, and then you're going to want to select edit, and then you can scroll through here and it's down towards the bottom. And then for target pathway and target occupation, we want to try to get both of these selected, and they should both be in the customer's application. But you will just go through here and select from the many different choices. I believe you have to select the target pathway, and then that'll give you the list of jobs in that area. And we don't have them all filled out. We only have a couple of the jobs all listed in test, but they're all filled out in production. So no matter which one you click in there, you can go in and then select the target occupation.
So you got that. Just real quickly, go back to the top of the screen. So it's on the ISTEP under Career Planning and Review Information Goals. All right, did that answer everything, Jonathan, for you? And Ronald Ruffin said thanks, too. So that was good. We got 2 people for the price of 1. All right. Are you done explaining the ISTEP?
I am.
Okay, let's minimize you down. And I'm going to leave you open over there, so don't stop sharing yet. Okay, so we have uploading 2151, 2151A. Did we answer whoever's question it was that had that? And then exit status. We've got 2 people that marked that they needed, okay, Eric, 2 people that marked that they needed to talk about exit status. Did we answer any of that for you? And if not, please type in the box for us. Scheduling. Who had a question about scheduling? Payroll, we're not ready yet. Hopefully, like Natasha said, next week we can show you in test. Referral accepted and enrollment. Customer is started, enrollment required. What are you asking about that?
That is a section on the dashboard. Are you asking what you need to do in order to fulfill that to make them move to the next section?
Let's pull you over.
Okay, so for that, you just have to go in, and this is not available until after you've uploaded the 2151 form with services initiated, but the customers won't be in that section unless you've done that. So if customers in that section, you're going to go to their progress page, and then you're going to scroll down to training program enrollment, and then you're going to go in, and they're going to be showing as not enrolled. And you're just going to select enrolled and then select the training program that that customer is going into. And then you'll select that and click update. And once you do that, then they'll go to the green section of the dashboard. And we need it as soon as we're uploading the 2151A with services initiated, we need to be enrolling them in the training program enrollment section, because if we do not enroll them and until the day of training, that training program is going to be filled. Whenever you enroll a customer in that training program, it is saving them a spot and guaranteeing them that they will be able to participate in that training program. So we need to do it as soon as possible.
All right, did that answer your question, Pam? She's typing. I'm going to move on to Mary Beth while Pam's typing. Regarding exits, we have 2 people in the DHS review recommend sanction status. Should we be waiting to exit these or move forward? We're waiting right now because if they get sanctioned, they're not eligible. They'll move when they become ineligible. So we have to wait for DHS. And Mary Beth, I think you're in Chicago, right? So some of the staffings and things have been on delay right now. So let's hold off on those for right now. Pam said customer started 7/29/16 and he was enrolled, and now he is not enrolled. did you mark him as not enrolled, Pam? You know what? After the call, can you and Olivia talk on the phone? Olivia, will you call Pam when we're done?
Yeah, I can give her a call.
Because I think that will be easier to
Yeah.
fix that. And then Nellie says, I have a participant that started working before the training started. I have not been able to contact him to bring a proof of income. What can I do since he is no longer coming? He, on his 2151, what I would do is I would case note this in the activities, send a message to the primary DHS contact as well as the team, the review team, and I would fill out the 2151A to say that the customer is no longer participating due to employment, and then DHS will have to follow up with them. Once we get an answer from DHS about that customer, then we can determine whether or not we exit them as successful or unsuccessful completion. If you haven't heard back from DHS by, say, the 14th of September, then reach out to us and we'll help you get in touch with the right person. Okay, Nellie?
If you don't hear back from him, Nellie, or if you don't hear back from DHS, he still technically is a SNAP participant, and until he's exempt, he can't just not show up regardless of if he got a job or not. So you can always start the conciliation process, and when you fill out that conciliation form that you're going to send to him, just have one of the requirements be that he brings in proof of employment. And then when you meet with him, his other requirement can be that he goes and visits his DHS office to determine if he's exempt. That's a really good way of making them come in and do what they need to do in order to determine if they're exempt or not exempt in this situation.
The big challenge is if he's got income, he's not gonna care because he's going to be losing his stamps anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Nellie, keep us posted. All right, who had a question about conciliation or financial items? Unfortunately, for financial items, Tammy is not on the call today, so I don't know that Olivia and I are educated enough on any of that GRS stuff to be able to answer your question. So I would send a question about any financial items to epic@illinoisworknet.com, and we will forward that on to Tammy or the appropriate person so that we can get an answer for you. Or if you've got Tammy's email address, you're welcome to send her a question by email. All right, questions about the conciliation process? There was one person that marked that. All right. If you did not already get a chance to check in, please do that in the box for the check-in for your organization. Loris asks, is there a DHS regional contact list available due to all the changes? Yes, on the restricted resources page. Olivia, I'm going to pull your screen back over. Can you go to...
Yeah.
So if you go to the restricted resources page, we've been trying to keep up with this as I do trainings. So we have names and desk phone numbers for the people in the various offices. So if you go to the DHS key contacts for CBOs, you can get the names and numbers from there. Click on the PDF for the pods and feeders. Not the contact list. Click on the pods and feeders. So this is the list of the offices that are feeding the pods. So that will help you figure out who do you really need to talk to. The pods will be managing the EPIC cases if they're assigned to the control group or business as usual. Then they go back to the feeders. So you will need to talk to somebody at Phalanx is down by Cal Park, so you would need to be talking to somebody at the Cal Park office. But all of your customers may not be coming from Cal Park, so you may have to talk to somebody from one of the other offices. I can't help you with that. You'll have to look at who the primary contact is for that customer to be able to know who you really have to talk to. But you can get that off of that other list that Olivia pulled up. So does that answer your question, Loris? Yes. Okay. All right. One of the other things that we're trying to figure out also is how we can do one staffing for you with all 6 offices at one time so that you can get on a call and have everybody all at one time talk about a customer, run through the list. So if you have customers for multiple offices, you've only got to do one call. We're working on trying to figure out that process and procedure. So hopefully that makes it a whole lot easier for you guys. Okay, I think we covered our list right now. Is there any other questions that we haven't already answered? And I don't see anybody typing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank everybody. Oh, and just a reminder, for next week, and it says September 9th, but I think when we were talking, we actually meant September 7th. So think about the items that we need to share with DHS about what would make a good referral. What do people need to look for in the customers so that they will be a good referral for you? So think about that. We're not going to talk about it today. And then mark in your calendar that we're going to have the in-person CBO tentatively right now, September 28th. All right? Anybody else typing? Nope. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next week, if not before. Bye.
Bye, everybody.